Okay, the time being 7 o'clock, I'd like to call to order the Somersworth Historic District Commission meeting for Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. And the first order of business is the approval of minutes of previous meetings, which would be our July 23rd regular meeting. Do we have any motions or discussion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. All opposed?
Abstain.
Two abstain.
2 abstain. So it passes 4-0 with 2 abstentions. Yes, counted that right. All right, next on the agenda is projects of minimal impact. Ms. Crosley?
Yes, sorry. So I have 5 projects of minimal impact for you to report on tonight. 157 High Street received approval for a fence replacement. 98 High Street received approval for a front entrance roof replacement. 23 Prospect Street received approval for roof replacement. 8 Prospect Street received approval for fence replacement. 30 to 32 Highland received approval for roof replacement, and that is all.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is public comments by visitors. Do we have anyone here that would just like to speak to anything in general, not pertaining to an actual application tonight? If so, would be the opportunity. Seeing none, we'll move on to old business. Do we have any old business before the board tonight? Seeing none, move on to new business. First item on the agenda is the Historic Plaque Program Awards presentation. This was something that Ms. Berry had proposed a while back, and through her workshop, we have came up with a historic plaque program. If you'd like to add anything to that, Ms. Berry, we'll let you give us more detail on that.
So today we are going to open up, so if anybody would like to get a historic plaque for their house with any historic property within Somersworth, it does not have to be in the Historic District Commission overlays, that the applications will be available at City Hall as well as our historic museum, and that you will fill that out and give it back to us. And then we are working in partnership with the CDC program at the high school who are making these plaques for us. And I'll just hold one up so everybody can see it. I think they came out amazing. And kudos to everybody involved. But I hope everybody is excited as we are to start seeing these plaques around town.
And we actually chose 3 buildings to award these to initially. Normally there'd be a fee to apply for and get one of these.
Correct. There is a $100 fee to do this.
And with that, we have 3 that we're presenting. We could only arrange one person or one applicant here, or one recipient to be here. Did they make it tonight? They were supposed to. Maybe not.
No?
Okay, well,
Teresa here? I was gonna say, I don't see her.
Tozer,
Or Tracy, sorry.
Teresa.
Teresa.
Tozer, yeah.
Teresa. I said Teresa, I thought.
She's not here.
so possibly she's running late, so I guess we can't do the presentation, or do we announce it anyway? How do we want to handle that if they didn't show up?
I think we can move it to the later in the agenda if we do get our person. If not,
You could explain how we got there.
all right. So we can just talk about, so we, like Mr. Brooks said, we picked 3 properties that we thought really showed great character within the district. They've kept their properties extremely well. They're sticking to our standards within the district, but also we did choose a property outside our district as well that also exemplifies what we're looking for in historic homes. You know, upkeeping the historic integrity, making sure that, you know, the property is upkept well, and just keeping within what we're trying to do here at the HDC. If any of those applicants can't be here, we are giving the plaque to them by mail. Obviously, we might end up with a 3rd that we are going to mail out today, but the 3 places that we chose, if you want me to go into that, was 45 Market Street, which is the Great Falls Bank. We picked 315 High Street, which was the person we thought was going to show up here tonight, but unfortunately it looks like they got detained, which is the Grace House, which is the John Olette House. And then we also chose 50 Maple Street, which is the Charles Plumner House. So those are the 3 that we are giving out this year, and we're hoping to keep doing this at least yearly to do one plaque from the HDC by our choosing to keep that going.
All right, and I guess with that, if maybe we can award it in person if this person shows up. If not, I guess we'll just have to mail them instead, unfortunately. So with that, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is Jonathan Hill is seeking a certificate of appropriateness to replace a wood landing and steps on property located at 1416 Lafayette Street in the residential multifamily with historic overlay district, Assessors Map 10, Lot 7, HDC case number 24, 2025. And Ms. Crosley, do you have a bit on this?
Yep.
A little history on this?
Yes, so the applicant's proposing to remove and replace wood landing and steps with in-kind materials and design landing and steps. The property is received a few different approvals in the past. They replaced stairs in 2022. They removed existing porch and support posts, not the roof though, and replaced with new porch was approved with the following condition: that the porch rails shall mimic 161 Main Street brick building as presented in original packet. And in 2024, they received a certificate of appropriateness to install areas of refuge outside the third floor attic windows. If there's anything else you want me to touch upon from your staff memo?
No, that's just a good background on it. And do we have an applicant here for this project? If you don't mind, come forward. Just make sure that the green light is on the microphone there.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. If you don't mind, just announce
Good
your
evening,
name.
everyone. I'm Jonathan Hill. I'm the owner of 1416. It's Fayette Street instead of Lafayette.
My
Yep.
apologies on that. That was my mistake.
So yes, the back staircase that I'm applying to replace is worn due to age, and so I've judged it, getting to its extent of its age ability to be useful anymore, and so I'm in the terms of safety, I'm looking just to replace it to make it safe. It's a secondary entrance to that upstairs unit. The primary entrance is up front of the house on Fayette Street, but it does act as an egress for a second egress by stairs for that unit, and also the primary move-in, since the main staircase coming from the front of the house is rather narrow with a turn. This allows a straight-up shot straight into the apartment for moving large things. I actually, since I applied, I think what I would like to do is also request to make the stairs slightly wider than they currently are. They're currently 36 inches wide. I think I was going to request them to be 40 inches wide to make it easier to move large things up and down that staircase and into the apartment. But that was just a secondary thought. I have some pictures. Do you have pictures of the current ones? I don't know what you have there.
Yes, we do.
I was looking to replace it with some similar design. I found a staircase that was recently constructed at 90 High Street, which I took some pictures today, which mimics similar to what I had in mind, and I can bring those up forward if you like.
If you don't mind, and want to just pass those out or pass to the end and we'll pass them down.
Thank you.
So basically, it's an all-wood construction with a wood railing, wood balusters, the standard 2x2, and they'll have a inside hand grip, which it does not have now, but it will have the handrail installed on the inside with returns at the top and bottom. And right now, the current staircase is set with a solid stringer. My contractors proposed to do it with a cut stringer using 3 stringers. So they cut the stringer and lay the steps on the stringer. So it would be a slight change in the physical appearance with that change, which was not on the original application. It's about 10.5 feet high off the ground. It's about 17 steps for 7.5 inches per rise. It does not currently have risers installed, and so I believe with the city's requirement to have risers, and so I plan to install those so that there's not more than, I think it's a 4-inch maximum, 4, it is 4, I thought so. 4-inch space, so that no more than 4-inch space. I think that's all I can think about right now.
Okay, before we get into questions and comments from the board, I just want to double check that we don't have any comments from abutters and so on. So I'm just going to ask if we have anybody here that wants to speak for or against this project. And seeing none, we'll just keep you up here.
Okay, sure.
So moving on with comments or questions from the board. Mr. Matavia.
We're talking about that stairway that is right against the L that leads up to what's probably once upon a time was a porch that's been covered in.
It may have been. That was well before me.
That one?
Yes, yes, that's correct. That's the staircase. It's out in the area of Broad Street, which was kind of the yard area.
Yeah,
Not too visible from the street.
it's the only grass area I think I know of that's called the street, but, no further questions. I'll be in favor of this.
Quick question. Do you own both sides of this duplex?
Yes, the entire building is one.
So a few months ago, I believe you came before us, maybe even a year ago, for a similar structure on the other side, a porch and so on.
Correct.
Do you plan on duplicating that railing system?
I had not planned on it. Because this was that particular, because of its higher visibility from the parking area and the street, and because it's a primary entrance for that unit, I did put extra effort into that particular design. This staircase being a secondary entrance and being not having the primary visibility from the street was planned to be just a little bit more basic with just wood construction, so it would be different.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from the board? Ms. Berry?
Just a real quick question, and I don't know if we have anyone here who can necessarily answer it. For him to widen the stairs from a 36 to a 40-inch, I believe that would also make it open to current code. So I don't know if 40-inch wide cover is okay by code. Tim, do you have any? Please.
Minimum width of the stairway is 36 inches. So he's already at the minimum width for code compliancy. But they do feel narrow at 36, but code is an absolute minimum. It's certainly anyone can build better than that.
Okay, so he would at least meet the minimum either way. Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
And I would go for 4 stringers on that, because I believe it's 18 inches between.
If you enlarge, you'd have to, because the maximum span for you're using pressure-treated tread, so the maximum span is 14 and a half between pieces, so you'd have to.
Yep, and I'm planning on using 2x6s for the treads. Or do you think, I mean,
That's fine.
okay. I just like.
You wouldn't need to do the 4th stringer, but it would be beneficial.
Okay. All right, thank you, Tim.
Ms. Berry?
I guess I'll just make my comments. I'll be in favor of this. It's on the back of the property. I think this is going to make things better for the people who live there, it being wider. I think this is easily reversible if needed to at any time. So I'll be voting in favor of this.
Ms. Schoen?
You're gonna either paint or seal the pressure treated, right? That's
Nope,
been-
I don't paint exterior wood, because all that does is lead to peeling, and then housing gets on me on that. So I do stain if need be. Usually I use a very light tan stain. I don't use the solid stains because they can peel as well, and then it looks worse.
Okay.
But anything that absorbs into the wood to keep the UV rays out and keep it from cracking and prolong its life is the best.
Okay. That's usually your question.
Well, that was going to be my question. As much as I'd love to see it painted, you got the right to stain it. And is the front the stairway on the left side that I think we did last year, a year ago, is that stained already?
Well, that one didn't have a requirement for staining, I don't believe, but
They
I
all
mean,
do.
it got a clear coat earlier this year. And so, but that one has metal balusters, and it also has composite decking and a composite rail top. So it's a little bit different design.
But does it stop the stairs from being stained, though?
Well, the stairs are composite, and the balusters are metal. On the other one, so it's a little bit
Are you
different.
talking? No, I'm not talking that wide, 'cause that little 4-foot, 3-foot step. I'm talking the one in the front of the building to the left. You got the little,
Yeah, the one there that goes all the way across.
yeah.
Yeah,
Is that one stained?
it's not stained any color. No. It's got black metal balusters. It's not represented in that photo as it's current.
I'm just
state.
talking the stairs, the wood,
The wood would be.
wooden stairs that you got right here.
Yeah, the stringers.
They've been stained?
The stringers, I have just sprayed some clear
Well,
solution.
the stringers, the rail, the treads, everything.
Well, the treads are composite, so you don't.
Oh, they
stain-
are?
Yeah,
Okay.
and
All
the
right.
decking is all composite.
Okay. You're good. All right, thank you. You're good.
Any other questions or comments from board members?
One statement.
Mr.
George, were
Matija?
you referring to the photo that's part of the survey?
Yeah,
So remember the age of that photo. Because it's in our packet, but that photo was taken 15 years ago. Right?
I thought we just did that not too long ago.
Right, so that's been
15
changed. So
years.
what you're looking at isn't what's there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Okay. Well, I'm good with this one anyway, so you're good.
So I'll make a motion.
Right,
I make a motion that we approve the application as submitted. The material to be wood, to be, all of the wood to be stained or otherwise sealed within 12 months of completing. That it to mimic the pictures shown to us from 90, I think it was 90 High Street that you took. That's my motion. Width can be up to 40 inches.
Okay, great, thank you.
I'll second that.
All right, just give me a second to write this down and increase the width of the stairs to 40 inches, you said.
Friendly amendment?
Sure.
Mr. Mativia?
And an additional condition that it be 4 stringers.
For the 40?
And there would be cut stringers versus the side mount.
So the motion is to approve it as submitted with stain applied on all wood and increase width of steps to 40 inches with 4 cut stringers. Is that correct for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so do we have a second on that?
Laura.
Laura, all right. Any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing no discussion, all those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Motion passes 6-0, so it is approved and granted. The planning department will, of course, get your paperwork to you in the next couple days.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brooks.
You're welcome.
Okay, hold on. Are you taking detailed notes? Because I thought I was stuck doing the minutes, which is.
Kim, do you have the pictures he had?
George does.
George, okay, can I grab them for the file?
Sure.
Thank you, guys.
I am trying, yeah. There was a revolt in the office, but I'm trying.
Awesome. Okay.
I may take a photocopy of your.
Next on the agenda is Genesis and Hersanthi Miramis. I
Hersanti.
apologize if I
Yeah.
pronounce this wrong. Are seeking a certificate of appropriateness to install vinyl siding on a property located at 17 and 19 Highland Street in the Historic Moderate Density District, Assessors Map 11, Lot 55, HDC case number 2625. And if you don't mind, just state your name for the record, and sorry if I did not get
Oh,
it
no
correct.
worries.
Did you
My
want
name
me
is
to-
Genesis Miramis. My wife, Rasanthi Miramis, cannot make it today because she's working, but
So
purchased.
Maramis is how I pronounce that?
Maramis, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Richard, before we move on to that, do we want the history before we get into
Oh,
the
I'm
project?
sorry. I skipped over one step. Let me just have
It's
Ms.
okay.
Crosley present.
It's good to get the clarification on the name. And Kim, I can provide you copies of his sheets too tomorrow by email if that's helpful for you.
That would be great.
Okay, sorry. So the applicant's proposing to remove the existing clapboard siding and replace with vinyl siding. The rear side of the house will have PVC from the ground and about a foot up to prevent water damage. The trim is proposed to be covered with PVC. This property has a couple different applications that have been before the board. Going back to 1988, they received approval to construct a deck and planters. In 89, to remove 2 trees. 2011, for window replacement. 2021, to install a fire egress on the rear of the building was approved with the following condition, that the fire egress shall be painted or stained by June 20 of 2022. In 2022, the applicant received approval to construct a 3rd-story fire egress platform, and with the following condition, the egress platform shall be painted or stained by summer's end, September 22, 2022. The application received an extension in July with the following condition, that the egress platform shall be painted and stained by summer's end, September 1 of 2023. And then in 2025, a certificate of appropriateness for an in-kind roof replacement.
All right, thank you. And if you don't mind just providing us any additional info you may have or a quick overview.
Yeah. So the history for me is very short. My wife and I purchased a house back in May or June. So that roof that they got done was completed right before we purchased it as part of our agreement. And then immediately before we purchased it, we also had an inspection done on the property, of course, to make sure that it was up to standard in some way. During the inspection, the inspectors found that the siding to go with it had a severe deterioration, decaying pretty bad. So it's simply just to replace the vinyl siding. I'm not going to get into any specifics because I'm not very knowledgeable in that aspect, which is also why I brought Murphy's Roofing and Siding, who would answer any of those questions you may have. But simply so, to remove all the clapboard siding and to replace all of it with vinyl siding, just like Ms. Crossley said, on the back end of it where the hill goes down, we've already seen that part decaying worse than others, and there's a lot of moisture in that aspect because of the hill. And so I want to replace that with, I think some people call it Ajax or PVC, from the ground up, to make sure that that doesn't happen and to prevent any sort of moisture to go into the basement. I have example of the siding that we want to use. I can pass it around just so you guys can see the color or the material that it'll be if you'd like. That is really it.
All right, let me just ask if anyone else wants to speak for or against this. Do we have anyone that would like to speak for or against this applicant? And again, seeing none, we'll just keep you up here. Do we have any questions from board members?
It's a pretty color.
Ms. Berry?
So part of one of the regulations we have for vinyl siding to go within our district is no J channel. Can you talk about, is that proposed in your vinyl? Is that not being proposed? Just give us some more detail around that.
Of course.
We use the J channel. Oh, sorry. Mark Murphy Roofing Siding. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Yeah, we use J channel around windows, doors. Once we strip all the wood clapboards, we're going to put a 3/8 styrofoam backer on, and we're going to cover the window casings, so it's going to look just like it does right now, with a PVC aluminum coil. We put it into a brake machine, we mold it. That's going to go around the window casings. It's going to be a flat casing. It's going to look just like it does right now, but it'll be covered. So there's no painting.
Okay, so you said you're removing all the clapboards, you're not going on top of the clapboard, is that correct?
Some of those are in pretty bad shape and should be removed to do the job right. Then once you remove it, you put the 3/8 styrofoam backer on.
Okay. Is there a way to do the window casing, and I understand the process, but without the J channel where it sits behind it, where you wouldn't need that?
I've never really done it that way. I've done hundreds of jobs, you know, and that type of situation, the way we're gonna cover the windows now, the J channel goes up against it, and the siding goes into the J channel. That's a standard application, so.
All right, I'll stop there.
All right, Mr. Mativia?
Prior to tonight's meeting, have either of you or your wife, who's not here, had an opportunity to read our standards, our installation standards and our standards for review? I don't know if you read our manual. That's
No, sir, my wife and I have not.
you haven't. And I'm trying to flip to it, and I'm going to go probably by memory, where it'll say that we don't do J channel. And the siding, and I'll read a piece of this to you. The preferred material is wood when we're replacing the existing wood. When the original materials have failed, modern materials may be allowed as long as they match dimensional and size. It goes on, siding or re-siding of structures shall provide that the exterior architectural features are not removed, destroyed, or covered. And traditional materials such as wood shall be used. Plastic, aluminum, vinyl are strongly discouraged unless they can demonstrate that their use is historically consistent with the architecture of the building. And soffits and window trim are to remain wood. Shutters may be replaced with vinyl shutters. No J channel is to be used. Existing trim could be routed in order for new siding to slide behind it. So all this is in our little book that we have for applicants to read through to understand what they may be applying for. And seeing that you didn't realize any of this, and I'm sure some discussion might be warranted between you and your contractor about how you may want to approach this. We don't usually, I can't recall us approving J channel unless it was a house that was already vinyl, already J channel, and they were replacing what they had. You have a wood clapboard house with wood trim, wood soffit, wood fascia, wood rakes, wood mudsill, and your proposal right out off the gate was going to cover it all with vinyl material, which is contrary to our standards. So as it's presented, I don't think I'd be in support of the application as it's presented. Thank you.
Even though the wood is in bad shape and starting to rot and peeling really bad,
You're allowed to
Are you
replace
suggesting-
and repair it.
it's gonna be a lot more
With
expensive.
wood again?
And that's standard maintenance and repair.
Or cement board, he can use
It's gonna be a
cement
lot
board.
more expensive, a lot more.
So
He's gonna pay
we understand that vinyl is a decision that's made for two good reasons. You know, it's longevity and it's really less expensive to approach. But when you buy in the historic district and it's an historic home in the historic preservation era, and we have a whole book to follow and guide you in that purchase and in those repairs, and I apologize for you that you never realized this, but that's why you're in front of us. So, anyway.
So the house is gonna stay
Just
in condition it's in.
an additional question for you. On the windows, the bay windows that extend out on the front of the house or the side as you're looking at it from the building, what was the plan with that? Are you planning on wrapping those as well, or would those be covered with vinyl? I mean,
Some of them have been replaced recently. It's very inconsistent. On the side, they have not been replaced, but in the front, some of them have been replaced. So, we were gonna keep the ones in the front and then replace the ones on the side, I believe. That's what we're gonna do.
so you understand the ones beside the porch that they're like bay windows that extend out. is because they have like raised panel features to it.
I don't know if this would help, but your picture with the white, the bump out, that's what he is talking about.
Oh.
I'm just curious, was there,
Yeah.
Oh, this right here.
Yes. So that was not part of the vinyl?
No, it's just the clapboarded area.
so is there two windows like that or just the one window that bumps out?
Yeah,
Sorry, I don't.
we're just gonna be covering the clapboarded area. And the fascia soffit, all the overhangs, we're gonna be covered.
Mm-hmm.
Richard, I think there's only one bay because it's behind a porch,
Yeah.
to answer your
Yeah, as
question.
I'm looking through the as I see
The
that.
other side does not have any, and the back has some kind of like bump out for the entrance. So I don't believe there's any other bays but the one.
Just trying to look at what features do exist on the building in that sense. Are there additional questions?
What about the corners? What are you gonna use on the corners? Vinyl corners?
Vinyl corners.
4-inch, I'm assuming, the 3-inch?
I can get 4-inch, or they have a 6-inch. It's up to the customer, so it's up to you guys. But they have a 6-inch and the 4-inch, so.
And the soffit and the rake's gonna be covered with metal?
The soffit is this right here.
Yeah, no, I know what it is.
We'll go underneath.
Okay,
It's vented soffit.
yep.
Ms. Nguyen?
I just would, I have to say I would go back to the standard. Anything that's wood trim right now, especially the window trim, it says the soffits, any of the trim that you see up against the roof, that's wood. That should all remain wood and not be covered. It is true that we have made exceptions for vinyl siding where it seems appropriate based on the scale and how it's applied. People sometimes would you could create a reveal behind the trim that would accept the vinyl siding to avoid the use of J-channel. That is a method that has been approved by this board before. I don't know if you want to reconsider, basically revising the application.
And Mr. Mativia?
If I may also, and I don't believe you have this part of the packet, which is from the historic survey, which was done in May of 2013, and it was done by a preservationist who surveyed the entire city's historic district, every house. And every house has a statement about it. And in your home, the integrity is listed as fair integrity due to, and it's reduced, not excellent, due to the replacement vinyl windows and a fiberglass door. So it only had fair integrity, which is still pretty good. I mean, it's not poor or no integrity. And the significance, and I'll read it through just for the record, that it was originally owned in 1871 by a County Atlas S. Kilpatrick, and that's where we brought it, right? 1992 by J. Remick in 1856, and it goes on to 1986. It was once a two-family. But the wood siding and the wood trim and the chimneys, all of it is listed in this, and why it still maintains a fair integrity in our district. Your proposal would eliminate that integrity, in my opinion, the way it's proposed. So that's all I have. You can take that.
Ms. Berry?
So I just want to go back to how you were talking about the application. It sounded like you were removing all the, oh my gosh, I just went blank on what they're called. The trim, thank you, around the windows. Is that correct that you mentioned that?
No, that trim would stay, and we'd cover that with a white aluminum coil stock.
Okay.
It'd be covered.
That's one of the reasons I'm a little hesitant with this as well. Looking at your current pictures, they look like they're in pretty bad shape to begin with. So my concern about keeping what's there and just covering it, because like I'm seeing from your current photos, like some of these sills look like they're in pretty bad shape. I'm just curious about the longevity of just covering instead of taking those off and possibly doing a replacement in kind. And I understand that that's not always ideal, but it's one of those, if you cover something and it's not in good shape, it could fail later, is my biggest concern. And then I'm looking at some of the clapboard. It looks like the windows are almost at the same length as the clapboard in some of these. It's not recessed at all, so I'm curious what's going on there. It's like, usually there is a little bit of a bump out to the window moldings. So I'm just a little concerned because like, I don't know how you would cover that when it doesn't even come out further than the clapboard that's there. So those are just concerns I kind of have about your current status of the what's there, and if you cover it, what problem's going to arise later.
It
is my
also
biggest
looks like
concern.
there's a drip cap underneath the header of the window trim.
On some, yes, not on all that I'm seeing from your current photos. I would just be concerned that you're just going to end up with a problem just covering those versus where if you remove them and do something different where the vinyl, as stated sooner, possibly could tuck into that easier without the J channel. But that would be a discussion with you and your contractor about what the possibility is there because, and even some of your side trim, like you have holes in it, and I'd just be curious like what other problems would happen just covering that. So I'd just be concerned.
Question for staff.
Mr. Mativi?
Is the applications for these applications, there used to be the guidelines for review with them available. Are they still is that still the case?
We don't provide the whole standards of review to every applicant. They are available on our website and in our office.
I'd just like to make a comment that I remember we did have another applicant that did an entire re-siding a house. I can't remember if they were replacing vinyl or not. It was on the corner of Noble and Maple. And they had proposed, you know, it was a significant project much like this one. I know that they were able to wrap the windows and form like a J channel into that window wrap. Is that something you're able to do as well, or?
We could do that.
I mean, whatever I could do to just replace the siding, I'm willing to do, if it makes sense. The siding is in really bad condition now. I just want to prevent more moisture from coming in on the backside. It's not good. If you want me to keep it wood, I'll keep it wood. Honestly, I was unaware of some of the things that I needed to be aware of because I've never been in this situation before. But I also just honestly didn't know what Miss Berry was just talking about having to do on some of the things. We will do them. We just sort of need some more clear direction, and I think that the book that you...
The standards for review.
I'll review them and I'll set them out. But I thought I heard when you were saying in the beginning that if the current siding there right now fails, that it was okay to be replaced with something else.
If there's
there now,
damaged clapboards, you can replace those damaged clapboards with new clapboards.
okay. So then it
You know,
will be with
and
wood
your
to wood.
moisture problem on the uphill side is due to the closeness of the vegetation and grading.
Yep. So then at that point, then we'll also need to have a French drain done, and then we'll need to do new siding on there. These are all things that will be done, just not after 4 months of ownership.
So just another thought here is, you know, especially on the uphill side where you have moisture intrusion, I can understand possibly the need for replacing that with some other product. I can't say that myself, would be opposed to that. I don't know if I would be in favor of the entire building being stripped of all the wood and redone. You know, I think we would be willing to try to work with you in some way. I don't know if the board could maybe give some insight to what they might find acceptable or willing to consider in this. Just, maybe you can make an adjustment to the application and
I'd be
return
willing
it
to
to
make
old
an
business.
adjustment. We
and-
only said vinyl simply because of what I'm just seeing near me.
Hmm.
I'm not. We live on Main Street right here. This is the second one. All around Highland, above and under us and across from us are all vinyl.
Yeah,
We
and
chose the same exact color as one of them, so that's sort of how we got there. It wasn't
and-
from.
unfortunately, over the years, the historic district didn't exist, since time began. Obviously, this was enacted in the 1980s, and some of that might have been done prior to. So there is a mix of different materials there, and obviously the historic district was enacted to preserve what we have before we lose all of this. So, we kind of have to balance this and consider different options. But let me just jump to Ms. Berry so she may her comments and questions as well.
So based on the discussion, I'd be very similar to Richard, where we've had applicants, like we kind of said, where like they kind of worked around the window and kind of, I would actually suggest looking at the one that we have approved where it kind of tucked in, where you couldn't see a J channel. It's just one of those, it's very obvious when you drive through the district, and that's present. So that's why we're very opposed to it. But there have been multiple projects where they found ways to tuck it behind so you don't see it. Or even if that is something that you're talking about, like you could come back with an example photo so we can see that. But my thought process here is based on, it sounds like you're willing to work and possibly change your application, that my thought would be we could table this. I know you're a new homeowner. I know you don't necessarily want more damage to happen because these are failing. But if that was the case and you had those conversations, you could explore a little bit more and come back next month, and you would come under old business with thoughts around what that is. So we're not saying, we wouldn't say no necessarily tonight. We would just table, and then you could come back with some options and examples of what specifically you're proposing. And then that way we could have a clear sight. Because right now, as it stands, I'm just worried about how those windows would be wrapped, because some of those are pretty set back. And just their current condition, I'd be really worried about it.
Okay.
So I'd just be like, maybe in those cases, we need to know, you're gonna put a PVC type of molding up, but it's gonna be the exact same width and dimensions and everything else. So I just think you as the applicant should explore that, or
Okay.
also the installer, and come back with those ideas.
Sounds good.
But you have to approve that, so if you're amenable to that, I will make a motion to table for them to come back with those ideas.
Before that motion, if I just let Tim speak too.
Right, I just wanted, for the people at home watching as well as the applicants here, our charge is given to us by City Council when they created an ordinance, 19:14.c.2. And it created this district and declared that it's for the public policy and recognition for the preservation, enhancement, and continued use structure, sites, and districts of the city having historic, architectural, cultural, or design significance. And it goes on. So we're acting based on the ordinances of the city, based on the city council's wishes at the time when that ordinance was created. We've been a district since what year, 87 or something
I
around
think
there?
it was 87-ish.
Yeah, so that vinyl or aluminum siding in your neighborhood, it was either done without permission or just right around 85, 86. So we didn't have a district, and it wasn't something we did. So the city's been doing it since then. So it's not any console to you that you're not the first one we've had this conversation with, so. And in this manner, a new homeowner, we've had these conversations over the years many times.
Just trying to fix what the inspection said was bad, is really all I'm trying to do.
We definitely understand that, because, right, you bought a new home, you want to be able to get in there, you don't want things leaking, we totally understand that, but we also want to make sure, like, you're not back here in 5 years, right? Because there's more problems that came up. So I'm thinking we table, and then you can explore the options, and then come back, and then you'll be under
Perfect.
old business.
George, you don't have any stickers, do you?
No, I took them out the other day.
All right.
I had some.
Do we have any other comments or questions for the applicant before Ms. Berry's motion?
Yes.
All right, I'll let you make your
All
motion.
right, I make a motion that we table, so the applicant has time to explore the options after the discussion tonight. And city staff is always there to talk about what, what applicants have been recent, like with vinyl, and what's been kind of proposed and approved. If you want that information from them, they can supply that for you as well.
Okay. I will ask.
And the standards for review are available at the city's website in the Historic District link, Dana?
Yes, they're on the historic page, but I can email you.
Thank you.
All right, and do we have a second for that?
I'll second that.
And the applicant's agreeable to table it as well, because we have to do that with your approval, of course.
Of course.
All right, all those in favor of the motion of tabling, raise your right hand. Opposed? All right, so we'll table it, and again, you can return next month. You don't need to put in a new, you may have to make adjustments to the application for planning, but you'll basically show up under old business, which is prior to any new business that we have, so you should be very early on the agenda with that.
Okay.
So we look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have Samantha Clausen is seeking a certificate of appropriateness to remove 4 trees on a property located at 53 Prospect Street in the residential single-family A with historic overlay district, assessors map 11, lot 109, HDC case number 27, 2025. And Ms. Crosley, if you just have a little overview on that.
So the applicant's requesting to remove 4 trees from the property. The first one is a red maple in poor to fair health, located in the front left corner of the property, which is entangled with the power lines. A black walnut tree located on the left side of the house that drops walnuts on the roof. Twin hickory tree located at the rear left corner of the house, located close to the foundation. And a cherry tree that's located on the back right corner of the house, which has caused damage to the roof. The applicants come before the board twice within, they've had applications before you, actually not before, yes, before you, sorry, the past year and 2. In 2024 for an in-kind repairs to the portico roof, frieze boards, siding, fascia, windowsills, and trim. And then to repair portico and front door, replace garage door and kitchen window, add gutters, and bump out basement door was approved with the following condition: that the front portico mimics the original style and shape with columns to support the roof. The roof may be rolled roofing or metal.
Okay, and Ms. Clausen, if you,
Hi.
if you want to just elaborate on that or anything.
Yeah, of course. My name is Samantha Clausen. I'm the owner of 53 Prospect Street. We had an arborist come out and look at these trees. These were the trees specifically that he called out as most at risk for future damage to the house. I actually brought along one of the walnuts as demonstration. They're quite big, and they're starting to fall now, so I can see why these would be pretty hazardous. The hickory hasn't started dropping yet, but it's going to soon, and they are of similar size, I'm told. The cherry tree in the back, when I first purchased the property, the tree, the branches were all the way over the roof in that corner, and there is some damage to the roof where the branches were scraping. We cut them back, but ultimately, with the way it's slanted, it would take, just the right storm to bring that whole thing crashing down. And the maple tree in the front corner of the property, that's exactly where the power lines come in. Big old fire hazard right there. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Right, let me just ask if there's anyone else that may want to speak for or against, just for procedural wise. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak for or against this application? Seeing none, we'll keep you up here. And any questions from board members? Ms. Berry?
Guess I'll start this off. Definitely from the pictures, I can understand the concern. Like with trees that close to a property, it creates moisture problems. It can create, as you're seeing, falling of different problems. I don't see any trees that I would be too concerned. Mostly this was done because we want to keep historic trees. We want to keep that atmosphere that, most people had trees in their yard at that time. they weren't clear cutting like we do today. My just curiosity wise, you have a hickory tree and some hard different things. Are you going to do anything with the wood, or are they just going to haul it away on you?
They're going to clear it. That's part of the quote they gave me. So
Okay.
they'll take it away.
Just curious. Yeah. I have no problem with this application.
Mr. Matavia?
That one, I think it's a red maple that's in the front yard near the sidewalk. Is that one of the ones that are proposed?
Yes.
And you, and you had that pruned, you stated, and then,
The cherry tree in the back,
I see.
we prune that. We haven't done anything with the red maple just because it's so close to power lines. We're not comfortable doing that ourselves.
so I'm going to date myself terribly here, but I actually remember when Charlie planted some of those trees out back. I knew the previous owner. I'm not opposed to this application.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to this either, and I can see where this is hanging over the house. I think sooner or later, that's gonna come down.
It's very scary.
I know the feeling, so, and it's probably taking up that sidewalk pretty well, too. So, I'd be in favor.
And I'll just weigh in and say I agree. They are certainly very close to the house. When I first saw this, I was hoping they were actually under the 12 inches, that you could just do this without seeing us, but apparently they're just big enough that,
Just barely.
yeah. So, again, I know the roots are probably getting into the foundation, and could cause further damage, so.
Sewer line too,
Yeah.
in the case of that cherry tree.
So, again, like Ms. Berry said, this is really to preserve the nature of having trees around the historic district and not being clear cut. So, again, I wouldn't be opposed to this either. Any other?
One more
Comments?
comment. The house looks absolutely beautiful up there.
Thank you.
You're doing a fantastic job. Take him out to dinner on Father's Day, because he's got this coming to him, so.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am so grateful to his skills.
He's doing a great job.
he's been working so
It looks
hard.
absolutely beautiful up
Thank
there.
you.
Mr. Matavia?
Motion to accept as presented.
We have a second?
Second, yep.
Second. And any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Next item on the agenda is Adam Johnson is seeking a certificate of appropriateness to relocate a proposed dumpster pad on a property located at 10 Green Street in the Business with Historic Overlay District, Assessors Map 10, Lot 172, HDC case number 29, 2025. And if Ms. Crosley has any
Yep.
info on this?
So the applicant is proposing to relocate a dumpster to the upper parking lot, which is off of Green Street, to accommodate accessibility of trash removal services. The new dumpster location will include an enclosure constructed of white vinyl fencing and plantings. The applicant was before the board. This property has been before the board a number of times. 1988, they received an approval for window installation, replacement of lean-to, and rear facade. Actually, I apologize. There's no decision indicated in that file, so I'm not sure if that was approved or not. 2003, to install a wooden stockade fence around the dumpster was approved. In 2010, for renovations, steeple repair was approved. In 2018, exterior renovations were approved. 2019, to re-roof. 2023, for re-roofing. The application was never completed. In 2024, the applicant was before you for installation of a window, trim around door, windows, and roof, removal of a tree, porch repairs, and it was approved with the following conditions. The windows would be located in line with the existing windows above. If only one window is installed, it will be in line with the right window of the pair above. The windows shall have granite lintels as they exist elsewhere on the building. Trim is replaced with composite materials matching existing trim dimensions and profile. Deck surface boards to be replaced with wood, and if the railings are removed in whole or part for refinishing, any replacement material will match the existing dimensions and profile.
All right. And, I'm sorry.
priority.
Mr. Johnson, if you'd like to just
Thank you.
elaborate on that.
I will, and good evening. Would it be terribly disruptive if I show some photos for visual reference?
Not at all.
With the projector?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm unfortunately
We like photos.
I apologize for delay here, but it shouldn't take long. I'm sorry?
Are you good on hooking up to it?
Yes, I think so. I'll let you know momentarily. There we go. All right, and this will be brief, but ultimately, as Ms. Crossley noted, I was before you last summer around this time, and we had a series of adjustments to be made, most of which were approved with some feedback and some feedback implemented. There's still some feedback we are finalizing. However, the practical application of the planning approval led to a couple of curveballs that we're trying to work around, one of which I'm here to speak to you about tonight. Ultimately, as she noted, very simply, the proposed the relocation of the proposed dumpster location from our original submission. So to remind everybody, if you're not strictly familiar, which I'm sure you see lots of these, the scope of our project was to install or develop 2 new residential units in the first floor, really the basement of the property, using quite expansive underutilized space that existed there. Didn't require any modifications to the existing envelope of the property, no change to the footprint. However, there was some site work conditional upon the planning approval, which required revision to parking, layout, accessibility, some things like that, which again leads to our conversation this evening. So our original proposal, and I'll zero in this a little bit more, constituted a pretty substantial revision to the parking layout of the property, and we proposed which is the existing location of the dumpster, but installing what was not there previously, which is a dedicated dumpster pad and enclosure. There was a dumpster enclosure at one time. Around the time of our presentation, there was only 1 of 2 chain link dividers remaining, and it was in poor repair. It was removed as part of the scope of this project, intended to be refit. However, for reasons I'll explain in a moment, the location of the dumpster pad proved impractical for a variety of reasons. The new proposal is to relocate the dumpster pad and enclosure to the upper section of the property. Excuse my elementary illustration here, but with some caveats I'll get to in a moment. But that's the location that we're proposing relocating. So at the time I saw you last, these pictures were obviously from the end of last winter, but this is the existing condition upon which the property was inherited. As you can see, the hotel was newly demolished at that point, which led to some carryover on this property, the above parking lot, and you can see the condition of the slope at that time. The site work has already been largely completed, with a couple exceptions that we're implementing feedback, as I noted. We're looking for, as I said, consideration for specifically the dumpster pad. And its current location, as I noted, there's no pad. It was just on the pavement, a remaining chain link fence removed. And what we're hoping for is consideration for that new location. There are a few reasons for it. I did note accessibility by the trash removal service, which is a substantial aspect of it. Given, one, the new layout of the parking lot, which has been revised with a need to amplify our parking spaces alongside the new unit development. Additionally, as you likely know, there's a pretty substantial development happening next door, which is changing the layout of the accessibility of that parking lot. So for the trash service to make that swing into that proposed location proved, I shouldn't say untenable, not as feasible, not as practical. So that's one of the rationale. Another is, as I noted, the parking objective was to maximize the use of available space, also facilitate accommodation of the adjacent wall refit. As I'm sure you are probably familiar, the retaining wall that is adjacent to the adjacent parking lot, or alongside the adjacent parking lot, where the old hotel existed, is in pretty poor repair. Replacement or refit of that wall is on the scope of work of the new developer. We don't have a strict timeline, but the location of the dumpster pad, as opposed to dedicated parking spaces for vehicles, is a more practical opportunity, I think, to use that space effectively for us. And then that would otherwise really be left unused for the reasons that it's frankly unsafe to be that close to that wall. So we're refitting that space and placing a dumpster pad in that location instead. And secondary, perhaps, conversation is the proposed enclosure design, which is obviously, worthy of consideration from you all, but twofold question. That's all I have.
Does anybody think we would need this
No.
screen presentation anymore?
No.
All right. If you don't mind, we'll just shut that off.
Thank you.
Ms. Schoen?
So I have a couple questions. First of all, I like your design of the dumpster enclosure. I don't have a problem with that. It kind of fits with the character of the building that you have. You're not trying to rebuild the retaining wall. You're hoping that they will do something with the wall.
Sure, and I alluded to something that's much larger, I guess, in context. I didn't really provide much context, so I apologize there. The wall itself is on the adjacent property.
The hotel property.
Yes.
It's not yours.
It's not ours. It's large enough in size that we're cautious about developing the ground too close to that location, knowing that redevelopment of that wall is within their scope of work. So we just don't want to anticipate building something that's going to rely on people to park up against it and not have to kick a problem down the road months or years.
Totally fine. You indicated, though, that your original spot, the trucks can no longer turn to get to. Is that because of some rebuild of Church Street? Like, what happened that they can no longer turn to get to that spot?
So I won't strictly say they can't. I would say the concern was raised by the trash removal vendor or dumpster removal vendor,
Right.
that the swing is becoming increasingly problematic for two reasons. One, because we have frankly narrowed the berth there because of increased parking, which was required as part of the planning approval for the development. And then two, what was, I think, an empty parking lot ultimately previously is now becoming the entryway to that new development. So there's an island, I believe, that's close enough that the trash service provider used to be able to make a wide swing. They can no longer do that. So it's a twofold problem, partially the reality of the street, partially the redevelopment of our site. So
you've talked to the trash provider to see if they can make the new swing to get to the new spot?
it would be the proposed location will be a direct entry and direct exit
No swing.
swing.
But you have cars, like it looked like you had cars on either side of that, so they're just going to have to somehow thread through and back up to that, I'm assuming?
So it would drive in directly and it would
And
back out
pick it
in the
up.
same direction
Okay.
without any turn.
Okay, just, I'd hate to have you come back and say, okay, guess what? The truck can no longer get there because the cars are there. I just try
This has
to,
actually been vetted with the contractor as well, so they're on board. I know I'm asking something different from the original proposal, so.
I don't have a problem with it. I was just trying to clarify why the change. Your design to me looks fine. It looks like you have a very nice pad there. Worst case scenario, the garbage falls down into the old hotel parking lot when that retaining wall gives way. Totally okay with that.
Mr. Matevia?
You mentioned numerous times that retaining wall where that dumpster is that really the retaining wall, or is that the original foundation of the hotel? Do you know?
Good question. I can't strictly say explicitly. It is currently a retaining wall. It perhaps
Right.
was
Yeah.
the
You
former
took the
foundation.
structure away. What's left retains the dirt versus was foundation.
Yes, I made a mistake.
So I would concur that parking against that remnants of the foundation is not advisable. And if something catastrophic were to happen, a dumpster is a good sacrifice.
Exactly.
So I'm not opposed to the application.
And just of note, the pad is reinforced with rebar and connected to.
Oh, if it would have followed, it would fall as a whole.
Fair. Sir.
Mr. Poland?
I have no problem with it. In fact, I'll make a motion to accept this presented.
Before that, I'd just like to
Yep,
weigh in
no,
on it
go
as
for
well. Obviously, this is going to sit in that opening of the wooden guardrail that's already built there, so it would fit into there, and the fence work would obviously fit all that. I see the prep work there, so just curious, how far is that guardrail from the property line? Do you know roughly how far that is?
I have not measured it, but it's about 5 feet, which is the assessment of, and then the former foundation is set back further than that. I want to say it's 6 or 7 feet from the foundation itself, which is a little bit back from the line, and then further to the actual guardrail. But I can't give you a number of feet off the top.
A good
If
safety
it helps,
margin.
the foundation wall of the retaining wall is not the property line.
Yeah, no, I figured it probably was. I was just trying to, I drove by, I didn't drive into the parking lot and look that close, so I was just kind of more curious. But, Ms. Berry?
I'm all for the motion. I just had a quick question. In the pad that you have, I'm seeing quite a few large boulders behind it and then some green. That's not the plantings you're proposing. You're more arborvitae. Like, that's not what you're proposing, correct?
Correct. The proposed planting has not been done pending approval.
Okay, and would those boulders maintain there, or would they be removed? Just because I know you're doing the fencing and then arborvitae from the drawings, that's why I'm just saying arborvitae, whatever plantings you put. But are those being moved to make way for this, or are they staying and then this is just going in front of those boulders?
The existing boulders would prospectively remain. Those were remnants of previous work, and they were left there as an after, I believe it was during the demolition of the hotel.
I actually like them. That's why I was curious if they're going to stay or not. Was
Short
just
answer
curious.
is they're not going anywhere. The contractor doesn't want to get any closer to the wall than he has to, so
Right.
that was why they were
And
untouched.
like to your point, if anything gets pushed, they're going to hit a boulder hopefully and not go anywhere. But okay,
The boulders might actually prevent the garbage from rolling onto that parking lot.
yeah.
And this fence structure is going to go all the way around, and then there's going to be additional plantings beyond that, so.
The proposal is to have that, a very simple square enclosure with the arborvitae to help shield the view, given that arguably it's no more visible than the previous location, but just as arborvitae are not difficult to install, and the idea being it just further veils the location of a dumpster.
And
I
I'll
would say I'm
second.
in favor too. So with that, your motion was to approve as
Yes,
presented,
yeah.
seconded by Ms. Berry. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0, so that will be granted, and the
Enjoy your
Plan-
dumpster.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
planning department will
Have a
get
good
you
evening.
paperwork for that.
Thank you for the pictures too, by the way. It's nice to see where things are going to go. I'm not kidding. We like pictures.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on. The next next item on the agenda, sorry.
Tim knows exactly.
Yeah, it's easy to do when you're up here, I guess. But anyways, so moving on. Olivia Farino is seeking conceptual review for the proposed demolition and reconstruction of a building on a property located at 90 Market Street in the Business with Historic Overlay District, Assessors Map 11, Lot 201, HDC case number 30, 2025. And if Ms. Crosley has anything to add to that?
Yeah, so the applicants requested a conceptual review discussion, which is under Chapter 19, Section 14E5C, where on more complex projects involving other boards or commissions, applicants may present a preliminary proposal at any HDC meeting consisting of simple hand sketches or other lesser requirements prior to submitting an official formal application. During the preliminary proposal, the HDC shall allow informal discussion about the project, offer comments, concerns, or suggestions to aid the applicant, and make no official decision or ruling during the decision. So the applicant's proposing to demo the existing building located at 90 High Street and construct a new, smaller commercial building on the lot. Bear in mind that this property is noted as non-contributing to the district due to a number of fires at this property. They have gone through quite a few different historic applications at the property for basically the redevelopment and some additions to the property that are listed in multiple signs. But the applicant can kind of talk about, they want to talk initially about how the board feels about demoing the building and their flavor to it, basically.
And before we get into question, I'd just like to point out, I know we haven't had many of these conceptual reviews. This is something that we proposed and enacted back in 2018 or whenever it was. And, you know, I know we've had one before that seemed to come with plans and everything, and really, we want the initial discussion to happen. You know, don't show up with plans, which I don't believe you have, which is perfect. I just, you know, because we haven't done many of these, it's worth just noting this ahead of time. Obviously, just to get an idea of what everybody's looking to do and what our concerns may be as you move forward. So when you make plans and present them, it's a better start to the whole process. So with that, if you want to just elaborate and give us your input.
Right. So my name's Olivia Farino, and it is 90 Market Street, not 90 High Street. Just to.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do too.
Right.
Did I say market or
High
did
Street is for a 90 High Street is for further discussion after this. This is 90 Market Street.
Thank you. So we are, as you stated, in very early stages with this. We haven't made an offer on the building or anything. We're just exploring an option, which is why I thought the conceptual review plan worked well for us in this instance. So we were looking at 90 Market Street, which is a non-contributing building. I was having trouble making sense of some of the records. Either it was built in 1950 or it was built as late as 1965. I'm not sure. But the addition was added sometime in the 80s. So it's not a particularly old building. For example, my home, I live on Indigo Hill, was built prior to this building. And that's not historic in any way, so it's more the district than anything else. The existing structure is in pretty poor shape. According to the file that I pulled on it, it was condemned a couple of times in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it still has significant issues according to the current tenant and the former retail tenant that I spoke to. There are issues such as asbestos, which needs remediation. The back siding has a large hole in it that needs to be repaired. There's been frequent flooding, electrical issues, structural integrity issues noted, especially on one of the sidewalls adjoining the salon. And we would prefer to knock it down if we could and build a smaller footprint and also shorter building on the existing lot, ideally with an outdoor patio as well. We were looking for a Tudor style facade with stucco and wood accents and a gabled roof. And yeah, we would keep it as a bakery, and then on the second story we were thinking either 2 apartments or an apartment and some office space. But again, it's all very early stages, so we don't have any formal plans drawn up or anything like that.
All right. Start with Ms. Schoen.
Please tear the building down.
Okay.
Like, it is an eyesore. I was here when the code enforcement violations were happening. I don't know if Tim was, but the construction of that second floor happened, I think, kind of overnight, and there was a lot of court cases on trying to get them to stop that. And
Yes,
that,
I did see that it was noted that the building was not supposed to. It was not supposed to carry that kind of a load.
No. It's not safe. So you would be doing all of us a favor if that building left. I don't think anyone is standing here saying, please save this building.
Okay.
So I will start there and let other people say that. I like your design that you did give us. I would like to see just a little more brick on the front, because when I drive around, there's a lot of brick right next door with the restaurant, and then kind of the side, I don't know what it's a barber shop or a hair shop, I think, right now. Then right next to the building is this kind of cute, almost like a beachy feel to it. And I like the fact that you have a roof line that kind of ties into the building that is to the left. And I like the window space that kind of ties into the building on the right. The only thing I would say is I would love to see a little more brick on the bottom.
Okay.
With that picture window, so that you kind of really tie into the 2 or 3 brick buildings that are right beside it. And maybe a little more, we can't control color, but it would be kind of fun if you could pop some yellow in to tie next to that. It would really tie it into the buildings all around you. Then you would not look like a completely different building plopped into the center of town. Although we did just go to this workshop that talked about plopping different buildings in the middle of town, and I think it was really helpful. I don't know if it was a very helpful workshop. So I think this is great. I'm 100% supportive. The sooner you tear that building down, none of us are going to lose sleep.
Okay.
Mr. Poulin?
Tear it down. Absolutely. I've been in that building. It froze up, and I repaired some of the pipes, and I've seen what's in it. Tear it down. I love every minute of it. It's beautiful. Good job. Hope you get it.
Thank you.
Mr. Mativia?
I have personal painful knowledge of all of this house. The building was originally just flat roof. It was a shoe store and a men's store, I believe, for a while. It was a flat roof replaced in '65. And somewhere on a long weekend with a lot of beer, that second floor popped on. And it was no inspections, no permitting for the work that was done, including the loft with a 6-person hot tub mounted on top in that loft. And it began to cause the floor system to buckle for the weight. I've been through it all. It happened before I took the position of the building inspector here, but when I did take that job, I was involved numerous occasions in that building. So although the design of the potential replacement building, I'd like to seek guidance on with some of those folks that we had that workshop with, but you could start to tear that down tomorrow. It wouldn't hurt my feelings in the least. It does stick out. It looks like a polka dotted scheme on a checkered dress. It doesn't fit anything. So thank you for coming forward. And exactly what this conceptual reviews are all about. I would encourage you to seek a design that does complement that area if you do purchase that building. We do have some resources that you could reach out to. Tudor is a different method for that downtown area, and having a ephes or a type of stucco facade, by ordinance, it's not allowed in the first 8 feet in this community anyway. So you'd have to start above 8 feet no matter what. But if you do pursue this project, I think there are some ways that we could connect you with some of the folks that came and did our presentations for our trainings here, which this would have been one of the topics of that training, of how that Tudor fit that neighborhood, so they could give you some really good guidance. But I would not be opposed to a presentation to remove that structure. So thank you for coming forward early.
Thank you.
Ms. Nguyen?
Hi. I don't think you need me to say it, but sure, tear it down. I'm intrigued by the Tudor proposal, and I agree. I think that will take some looking into. I think maybe some more consideration about how to fit in with the rest of downtown. Not opposed to new things in the historic district personally, just so long as they're more, the word that's often used is compatible with what's there. But that said, I think the other issue you'll want to pay close attention to is how, where you're creating the patio space, how that creates, how that affects the sidewalk and the other buildings around you, and trying to make sure we maintain a complete kind of streetscape, so that there's a continuous wall across the
I was
street.
reading the guidelines, and that was the main thing that was giving me pause, was the concept of separation between buildings downtown. So I don't know if that would need some kind of like a half wall in front of it or something like that. That's something I'd be open to, or whatever would make it look even.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, we would want to see good illustrations of what your intent was.
Okay.
And it's not like we would necessarily say absolutely no to a gap there, but it would be something to consider, like how does this, show us how it fits in with the buildings on either side of it.
Yeah.
Not just as a single object.
Yeah, so ideally, and I don't know if this is possible, ideally I'd love the patio to be actually on the back of the property, kind of overlooking the railroad and the river. I don't know if that's something that is actually feasible or not, but I think it would be very cute.
Ms.
Just go
Berry?
down the line, I guess.
Might as well. I'll go last, I guess.
I won't even talk because everybody's covered what I would have said about this building as well. I'm very similar I love Tudor. I actually love that style, but I actually would not love it in this context.
Okay.
And I'm just going to go into a few reasons why. I think a gable roof would work here because of the building on the left. I forget what's in there right now, but like to your point, it has a gable roof, but then I'm looking at the building to the right where you actually have a flat roof and then you also have a hip roof that has multiple levels. I think you can get creative because you have such an expanse of other roof lines. I'm one of the ones that are going to be, I want to be understanding that this is more of a modern building. I'm fine if you want to have aspects that fit in, but it's one of those, I don't want us to mimic too much where people are getting confused that this is a modern building.
Right.
And I think that's one of those things where it can be easily done with how the treatments or like the massing. One thing I will say I'm a little concerned about just how big this building was compared to the others.
Yes.
So I'm actually excited that you kind of want to leave space for an outdoor area, especially considering Breakfast Station 319 is 2 doors down. It does have breakfast out front spacing. So I think you could do that easily. And to your point, I do see like there is like a, I don't know if it's still there, to be honest. I'm trying to go by memory. I'm always down there, which is sad that I can't remember. There's like an alleyway between the buildings that you could easily put an entrance to an outdoor seating out back, just depending on how you design the area.
I think that alley is just for access to read meters, I think.
It actually is the access for the tenants as well.
And it could be if she's tearing down, it doesn't have to remain how it is.
There's 0 lot line setbacks, so you can, in that spot, so.
Yeah, and I also think you have the opportunity, because this one comes out further than that brick building to the right, where you can play a little bit about, it doesn't have to come as far as the building on the left, where you can maybe be that gap between the two. I think you have a lot that you could do with this particular plot. I think it's just how it's done, and just kind of play with it, because you do have quite a bit of difference that you could pull from.
Yeah, so that picture, that is an existing Tudor bakery in the UK right now, and that's our like style inspiration. We don't want to do a one-to-one replica, but yeah, I see your point with that. I don't want it to look like it's supposed to be old. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that would be where my big holdup would be. Like, I've seen Tudor done modern, and I think it can be done really well. So it's just understanding like where you're not trying to mimic and make it look like, oh, this is from the UK in the 1800s, or you know. And that people are going to go, oh, okay, but it fits within. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Well, I'll chime in last, I guess. Yep, tear it down. It's a non-conforming building.
Unanimous
Plain
tear
and
it down.
simple. It doesn't. It just does nothing for our district as it sits. So that's obviously just a given here. First and foremost, I think scale and size is really the key thing with new buildings. You know, and what you're proposing is much smaller than what's there, from what it sounds like, but it sounds like it fits in scale-wise, so good. You know, the setback, like Laura said, they kind of vary left and right, so whether you split the difference or stay, you know, one or the other, you know, I wouldn't set it back 10 or 12 feet. I'd, you know, try to match what's there or in line with in some way, roughly. As far as the style goes, you know, we've got a pretty varied district. I did a little research on this because, you know, back when we looked at a size of a district, we've got 35 different styles of buildings in this district, which makes it hard to say this is what we want or should have. We've got such a variety, it's hard to say we need this or this. I'm all for one-offs. In fact, we've got 5 or 6 that are one-offs already in the district. So to have something new that we don't already have, and it's got that quaint, historic look, I'm fine with it, even if it's got modern touches. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. I don't know if you really need more input, because everybody else has really said a lot of the same as what I have for an opinion on this. So,
Yeah, no, this is great. Thank you. Sorry.
Mr. Mativia?
It's really not a comment, but a statement. I've sat on the HTC in one form or another, I think 17 years. And this is the first time in that tenure that I have seen NA on every single line in the survey, which means get rid of it.
Yeah, it's
I've
just
never
sim-
seen this.
yeah, it's
I
just
don't know
simply
if we have never seen this.
We've only got a few others, but not one that's before us. And one more thought here, and this gets into the bigger picture of, new buildings and so on. Unfortunately, we've got form-based codes that building sits within also. I believe if you look at that, it says it's supposed to be 4 stories.
Oh, okay.
Size and scale there, 4 stories would look way out of place. I don't think form-based codes, as they were done, did us any favors.
The
And I think we
two-story
can,
minimum.
so 2-story minimum. And, others say different if you look through the other form-based codes. So, unfortunately, the form-based codes haven't always done this district a favor, in my opinion, but that's just my one opinion on that. So, again, look at the size and scale around you, which I think you have with this, and good. I like the size and scale that you're discussing.
One last comment. If you do pursue the project, reach out to any of us. We can try to connect you with some good advisors of style and how it fits well from those people that did present to us. They may give you some guidance that you hadn't considered.
Great, thank you.
George and
has everything.
Yeah.
Picture of it on fire.
There's probably some out here in the hallway.
I would say the Historic Society would be a great asset for that, for pictures and just to kind of show you what was around that area.
Yeah, we have some of the fire when that happened, and I believe some earlier than that.
Do we have any other comments? Do you
Thank
have
you.
anything else? No. I guess we're all set then, if you're happy and that's giving you enough feedback.
I was terrified.
You want me to go up with you?
Right. But yeah,
Thank
and
you again for coming.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you guys
And
so
really, in this hallway, you may find photos of what was there.
there's a lot of resources, like Tim kind of said, like the City Hall can help you. The SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Office, they also have great resources. They can connect you with them as well for infill. That's going to be the keyword for you in this, infill. So just kind of those standards and different things. So
Okay.
We should have public speakers come to the microphone if you are going to discuss, only
it's
because
only
we're
for people
televised.
at home to be able to hear you.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, just say your name as well for the record.
I'm Deb Farino, so I'm co-owner of this. But yeah, we were thinking, Tudor style, but in talking with you guys, tying it in with Station 319, the other really nice place, which was 45 Market Street, and using kind of that same stone structure, maybe that might be a better alternative, with a nod to the Tudor by having some beams,
And honestly, you can go down a rabbit hole if you just Google modern Tudor or like any infill. Like there's thousands of pictures out there with how
fill an
people will
hour.
do this.
Yeah.
So trust me, there is definitely stuff that you can pull from and start getting ideas. And depending on who helps you with your design, there are architects who also really do well at this, or just builders who've worked with this kind of stuff. So, and that's where the State Historic Preservation Office can help going, these guys do this well. Our city staff also has, resources
Yeah.
around that. So
or help, the more input we can get, the
exactly.
better.
But honestly, you can just do a Google and you will get flooded with ideas and pictures. And I would even say go around Portsmouth because they have some infill that has done well, and they have a lot of brick right next door to some of that infill. So you can see how they've kind of handled that as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yep.
Thank you.
And just one last thing is, don't be afraid. Don't feel that you have to go extremely modern with it either. As long as it doesn't
Yeah.
so much mimic that, don't try to make it look 100% old, antique, a happy medium, whatever. Obviously I think we're going to be pretty easygoing on this. It's, it's more the size and scale, I think, is what a lot of us would like to see, and, something with character, not just a boring, bland, modern building. So.
Exactly.
Yep.
Go get the sledgehammers out.
Yep. Some of us would be like to help you, I think, in that building.
All right. And
Well, thank you so much for your time.
thank you very much for coming in. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any other new business before the commission?
Just the 90 High Street, if you want to touch upon that, Richard, where you were more directly involved than I was.
Okay. So wasn't listed on the agenda specifically, but this 90 High Street, they proposed replacing the set of stairs that you can see facing Constitution on the side of the building. When I looked through the ordinance and so on, I did not feel it was minimal impact. I said it should be major impact because it's a complete rebuild of these steps. Regardless of what I said, they went ahead and reconstructed them without even getting a building permit. So I believe the planning department has kind of asked if we felt that it should have come before us and if we should approve it now that it's been built as it is. I guess a little direction from Dana on what we're ultimately looking on this, but I mean, it's already built, so.
Yeah.
I have some questions to them. Maybe, Dana, did you do any file research for this project? Because I swear I remember a prior owner, when they remodeled upstairs and when they, just before they put that other dormer on, was going to, part of that application was to replace this just as it now is built, just because they did it. And I thought that we had hashed that out a number of years back, but they didn't, they ran out of money, they didn't do it.
Yeah, I do remember discussing it at a meeting, but it was a number of years back,
Yeah.
so it was a little fuzzy. I don't remember exactly what that entailed now.
I think you are correct, though, because I remember we looked at, they possibly were gonna cut into the side of the brick. That was a whole thing about how were they gonna cover it in the stairs. It was a whole conversation.
I think, to be honest with you, although it would have, I don't know if expiration was in play at that time, feel pretty confident that what they built, what you see right there today, they built without a permit, sure, and perhaps without our approval today, but we may have given approval to build that 12 years ago, or at some time frame. I don't remember exactly, but I recall this.
They have an application from 2005 to upgrade and repair exterior stairs. Not a lot of details provided with that. In, I don't know what year this is.
About the time they did the dormer.
90. In 90, they wanted to replace rotted and unsafe deck. Work is finished except for rails. Deck and stairs were already being repaired by the time I was notified. I immediately attended. They did a stop work.
The one that you just mentioned that there
The
wasn't
2005. Yeah, and it's probably just the minutes and whatnot may not have been part of the file, but they did upgrade and repair exterior stairs in 2005.
Do you have the dormer in that list?
No, so I did not do file research on it, but there were a few things pulled on it. There's a.
Actually, it wouldn't be 2005 because it wasn't up here yet.
Hold on.
No, it would be around 2011.
2015. They added 2 dormers for remolding apartment upstairs.
Remodeling.
It says remolding. And add 2 interior staircases, remolding, business and cellar, and add 3 bathrooms, 1 kitchen.
That was the cellar. I remember that conversation.
The hole in the building was the cellar.
It says remolding. Front door and staircase.
That would say that again?
The remolding or
No, the whole,
staircase?
that sentence. You can use remolding if you want.
The application is as filed. Front door and staircase.
Front door and staircase.
This was referred to the HDC.
When was that one?
This one, it's 2015, so it is prior to the expiration that was put in the 2018 existing back.
Say who owned the building at the time?
At the time,
Thomas J.
Thomas,
Bascom.
Ask them.
Bassam, right.
That's what if she's close to that, that's probably when.
So even if we had approved it, like to Tim, your point, like they had approval before it was expiring, but Richard, your question to us right now is, would we have been okay with this being minimal, or that you thought, where you're asking if it should have came to us because it was a full knockdown? I'm clarify the question.
Yeah,
sorry.
so I interpreted it as needing to be major impact and come before us. It's how I interpreted the ordinances when I read it.
And that's because it was a full tear down and a redone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they did not provide a plan initially either as part of their application
Yeah,
for review. So they did not give a full
They simply said
extent.
we're replacing in kind, and that was like the extent of their application. They didn't elaborate on it.
If we let this go, does that mean they're not gonna paint it?
Even if it's, if you said that it could be minimal impact because it was previously approved under the 2015, you could put a condition could be placed on the, that it shall be painted or stained.
I think it has to
I
be.
think
It's
that
right
would be a
downtown.
reasonable
Absolutely.
method if the board is feeling that it could be. I mean,
Well, right now, we have an application to build it, and the applicant may not have been aware that it was intended to have been replaced in 2015. It didn't happen. They just repaired a few broken boards when the intent was to rebuild it. I remember speaking with Mr. Bascom and his son, who was the contractor, throughout that project about the stairs, and I can now, as we talk, remember commenting, well, you never did the stairs. Budget. I can remember it because it was the only piece of that very nice interior remolding that they didn't do. And
He built the dormer there too.
they did build a dome. It was all part of, this was all part of that package.
I remember that.
But
And-
for your
and then there was-
clarification, Richard, for me, without them saying in this application to have the same scale, height, or plan, I understand where your hesitation was, but if they had provided going, same scale, not to differ in any way from what's existing, I would have been okay with this minimal. And that's on, but I think that would have been my clarifying. I would have needed that definition.
Yeah, and as I'd also remember discussing this, maybe it was when they put in the basement apartment. Maybe this got it roped into the conversation. I don't remember, but
The basement apartment, the big controversy was, they
well-
wanted to add a doorway on the constitutional side,
yeah, they ended up
and we
putting it on
didn't
the
allow
backside.
it. They ended up putting a small window in.
Yeah, and a well window for
Yes,
egress.
and they reconstructed the rear entrance off the parking lot to get into that apartment.
And it was
Turned
a
out they
different
didn't
owner.
end up being an apartment for a while. They used it as an office for a while before it really became an apartment. But the dormer wasn't, and this stairs wasn't part of that basement remodel project.
Right, different owner.
Yeah.
He had sold it.
May have been, but they were two different projects.
Yep.
This stairway was, I believe, discussed to be replaced to facilitate the full remodeling and dormer of the top floor unit.
Right, but what Richard's asking us is, in future, if somebody comes to us with a stair project like this and they just say replace in kind, would the board want to see it as a full application or not, correct?
I would think, in my opinion, if I may speak, that repair, no, that's totally fine. I'm taking off my deck boards, I'm putting new deck boards down, because the old deck boards, here they are rotten, and I'm putting the same material down. That would totally minimal impact. This is a not minimal impact, in my opinion, because it has the potential to be removed and replaced with similar material, or not exactly the same material, and we would never have known or had a say in it. So it would be replacement. So there's that, is it repair or is it replace? And when you totally remove it, you're replacing it. So I think that's my little hiccup on it.
And
all.
that's the same way I interpreted it and why I said it would be major impact, but before that ever happened, it got replaced, so.
And this is where I get a little bit, because like a lot of this stuff has to be removed to repair or replace in kind. That's where I get, like, these kind of stair structures are a little bit gray area for me, where I would have been okay with this not coming before us, just because of that. But again, you would have need to know the specifics of the detail, not just saying replace in kind, right? Like, you would have needed.
Which that's all they had really said. They hadn't provided any pictures, drawings, just said replace in kind.
I think that's where that difference for me comes to place, because I'm like, well, you have to remove all the molding to replace it in kind, right? Like, that's where it gets kind of gray.
Yep. So do we need to make a motion, or can we make a motion just to put a stipulation that it's painted? Is that the proper order of business with this tonight?
Sure.
A question
I
from Ms.
think that
Crosley.
would be,
Yeah, if the board can make the determination whether or not they feel that they need the applicant to come forward to present, or if this application as it is fine as we could say minimal impact because of the 2015, and as it is presented that it is going to be replaced, it was replaced in kind, based off of the plans that they did eventually submit, and then you could add that stipulation. I think that we can move it forward that way, if the board feels comfortable with it. If
And
the
I
board
guess-
doesn't, then you could do an alternate path for that.
I guess the only difference I did notice on it is it doesn't have the lattice work on that section under the landing. I don't know if that.
But I never liked that.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
You're
yeah.
one piece, like, if
Yeah.
you're gonna do it, you need to do all of it or none of it.
that lattice was, the only reason why that lattice was there to hide a barrel, no, trash barrels.
It was to hide something.
Yep.
So, I guess, does someone want to make a motion then for?
Sure, I will make a motion that we approve this as minimal based on findings of old approvals as well as eventually submitted plans, with the exception that this needs to be treated, either stained and or painted within, I'll go with Kim's, 1 year.
And Ms. Crosley, I don't have a form to fill out for this, so you're getting all that?
Yeah, we can follow up.
All right, and do we have a second for that?
A second.
Seconded by Mr. Poole. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? And that motion will pass 6-0. All right.
I put
And
9/1/2026. Or do you want this specific date, 9/27?
assuming we have no other old business, or new business, I should say.
Just a little plug for a couple things. We are working through master plan chapters. One of those is the historic and cultural one. So we're getting a survey out that we love to have your guys' feedback, your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues. We want to hear back. It is covering multiple chapters, not just the historic and cultural resources. And we are also going to be having a community forum upcoming, so please keep an eye out for that. Information. We want to get participation for these master plan chapters to make sure that your voices are heard in the designs and things like that for the city. So that's my plug.
Is one of those chapters development of apartments?
That is not a specific chapter that we are doing. But historic and cultural obviously have different aspects that could potentially be of interest of that
I guess I meant just like the master plan of where we want development may be a better. Is that part of it? Where
I think
do
that
we
would
want
fall
to see
under the
development?
housing.
So there's
Yeah,
actually,
we did housing. We
have several chapters that are being worked on. Do you have a list of those specifically?
Will it be a list?
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
This was just discussed at the Mayor's Housing Task Force earlier tonight, and I don't remember if we got a list of those either, but I think they said there was 4 different chapters being looked at.
I was going to say, if we already did housing, how did I miss that?
Oh,
You attended a workshop.
I
Yeah.
attend a lot of them.
I know you came to the public forum because we were in a group together.
Do you want us to have other communication while she looks that up, or
Yeah, go
hold?
for it. I'm gonna look
Yeah,
up a couple
we
things.
can do that. Do you have other communication?
Do we want to do workshop? Sorry, I'm getting out of
I know
order.
she kind of jumped ahead.
That's
so
fine.
That's fine. We'll start with workshop then while she's looking at it.
Okay,
How's that?
so I don't necessarily have any more workshop than what was already stated, but I just want to restate that if anybody is interested in filling out the historic plat program, again, those applications will be available at our Historic Society, as well as downstairs in the planning office. They also are going to have that available. And we're really looking forward, and I hope a lot of people are interested. The CDC program, again, has been great with this, and we're hoping to keep more of those plaques coming out. And again, just to remind everybody, it's for every property in Somersworth. It doesn't have to be in the HDC. So if you feel like your house is historic and has significance, fill out the application. So, and the Historic Society will also help with that if needed, or they will point you in the right direction of how to do your research.
And I got about 30 blanks in my trunk right now waiting.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
You have to know the year your house was built, right? You have to have some, I gotta
Yes,
pull my
we want to
dates.
know the year the house was built, if you know who built it, the builder and or architect if there was one. There isn't always, right? Or the original owner from a deed research, because your house could have a name based on that information. And we also need to know how you got that research. Like, we don't want that great-grandmother from my mom's side told me at one point that this was called the Smith House. Like, it needs to have factual base and how you got your research. So yes, it needs to be factual.
Ms.
If
Mathieu?
you go right along with the workshop, I just want to kudos to Laura for heading that up the way it went. This was not a simplistic process. We started this in conversation 2 years ago, worked through that, figured out all kinds of things from the font to the material to the size, historic research. This was not done lightly. And it was just a good job, Laura. It was well done, and those that worked on that commission know that it was not just something we sat down on an evening and penned out and see you later, bye. It was a lot of thought went into this.
And I certainly think it's a great way for people that are proud of their older houses to show them off and brag about them, so to speak. So I think it's a good thing, and I'm glad we're doing it.
Just
Mr.
to
Pullen?
change the track a little bit here. Not looking for trouble, but I think maybe we could down the road change this. This thing of painting pressure treated the year, I think it should be down to 6 months, and I don't think it should be clear. I think it should be solid stain. Just my opinion.
The issue I have with 6 months is if you do it in November, 6 months puts you in April and you can't really paint it.
Well, we could give them an extra month,
So-
depending on the time of year. I don't buy the whole year thing. I just don't. I'd be happy in 2 weeks, but and the clear stain I think looks terrible when somebody puts it on there. I'd rather see a solid stain.
If it may help this conversation, I have some contacts with the APA people who are the American Preservation Association, nothing to do with historic, it's wood preservation, and they are the ones who dictate ground contact and how fast the material dries. And I can get you their guidelines on when it could be painted to use as a guide for our decision.
That could be helpful.
And while we're on this topic, just as me discussing whether this whole set of stairs should have been minimal or major impact, there are still some gray areas when we redid our ordinances back in 2018, I think it was. I know we never really tackled siding as much as we should have. I think porches was another thing that we didn't tackle. Recently with the proposed amendment to the historic district regulations that is going before council, which by the way, I believe will be read at the next meeting on the 2nd of September, because that went through the Economic Development Committee. There was an interesting conversation that came through that committee, and somebody, I think it was Mr. Goodwin, actually made the comment, do we focus on the actual preservation of the old buildings, as in keeping them as what they exactly are, or are we looking more at keeping the quaint New England character of the downtown, which I think is a fair question. So, it might be worth even discussing that a little bit and consider our ordinances a little bit. Obviously, the city council would like to see some changes of some kind. Maybe we can come up with a proposal that they would like and be satisfied with. So it may be worth us, I would like to think that the Historic District Advisory Committee that was formed could tackle this, but I wouldn't be opposed to forming a committee amongst ourselves again, because unfortunately, the city councilors have not been the best in attendance at that committee.
Well, we do have one of those coming up. I'm getting that scheduled. We are going to talk about our goals, and that actually was a goal, but it was a goal that I interpreted, and we can clarify at the next meeting, that we would put that to the HDC, that it's a goal that we want the HDC to tackle, not that that advisory committee would tackle, but we could put in where maybe they review it after the HDC does their change before it goes to council to see how it's interpreted outside before it goes to council.
Yep.
But we definitely can have that on the discussion.
Well, I certainly would be in favor of forming a committee to look at our ordinances and standards again. I think it's been a number of years and well worth doing that. We've had our camp training sessions, which I think was very informative. I think a lot of people found information and helpful knowledge with that. So I think this is something we should tackle in the very near future as a board, whether it involves the Historic District Advisory Committee or not. One way or the other, I think we should move forward with this in the very near future. So I may try to form that committee in the next meeting or two. If anybody's willing to volunteer, I'd be open to.
If it's winter, I'll come with you. If it's summer, I'm not going to.
And with that, any other communications, miscellaneous?
One question about the last presentation. If they did go through that, that'd have to go to all the development process with site plan and plan, yeah, all right.
That would go through site plan review, yep. Probably similar in the trajectory that we'd want the historic district review for the exterior prior to the planning board granting approval. The planning board looks for that decision from this board prior to them making decisions, because obviously it could change things.
But also the way it was worded was we're advisory. There's nothing that dictated that they had to follow what we recommended. So they're.
With the amendment.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yep. Similar to like the, my understanding is set up that it would be similar if that ordinance change passes. But regardless, as it sits now too, it requires that trajectory. But it would be similar to the Conservation Commission's role with conditional use permits for the wetland ordinance.
And just one last thing on that, I do believe the committee voted 3-1 not to recommend that ordinance change. So they did recommend to adopt the map as that first section in that ordinance change, to adopt the map as the official boundaries with maybe an updated map that's clearer, but the rest of the ordinance they recommended not to move forward with, 3-1. And with that, Ms.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if they had other stuff. But to loop back, the 4 chapters that we are currently working on for the master plan update is the vision, transportation, and economic development, and the historical and cultural resources. So just a couple things.
And I believe there should be another communication.
Yeah,
He doesn't say it, I'm gonna
talk
say
about
it.
this.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Laura, I'll let you take it.
I was gonna say it too, but.
No, you have the flyer. Go ahead.
We have flyers, I have flyers. The museum is gonna do, what's that? Museum is gonna do the Grave Tales. It's been a hit in the past few years, and we've been getting a lot of feedback that people really want it. So Grave Tales is coming up September 27th. We've got about 20 stops, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every 15 minutes, so it doesn't matter when you show up. We're hoping every 15 minutes we get a crew out. We got guides, we got about 40 volunteers. This is going to be a real good one. So come on down.
And it's the best time to see the chapel. It will be open.
Yep.
That's one of the reasons you should go also.
So, September, you can take one of these with you if you'd like.
I want one.
Yeah.
I want one. I know, I'm trying.
And the museum has been, we've got this, what do you call them little things?
QR codes.
QR codes. We're stepping up in the world. We actually have one for like a PayPal thing, and we have this one connected to our website. We've got Instagram now and Facebook pages, so we're really stepping into the 20th century here.
Rumor has it that next year, or the next time rather, that this happens, you'll be able to scan the QR code, and then a hologram will then come out and do the presentation at that. Is that true?
We'll try.
All right.
I'll probably be dead, but we'll try.
So I want to just, did anybody, I know I saw you on the Feast of Somersworth tour. Wasn't that, I just, kudos to the chamber for putting that out. That was fantastic. It showcased so many businesses that I hadn't seen. The food was amazing. I really hope that, I'm excited that the chamber put that together. I think it was great for our local businesses. I really hope they do something similar in the fall for like shop around Somersworth to showcase some of our other businesses. I really impressed with how that came together and the number of people I saw walking around doing it. Yeah, it was very encouraging. And the food was great.
Awesome. Any other?
Motion to adjourn?
We have a
Second.
second? All those in favor of adjournment? Raise your right hand. Opposed? We are adjourned.
I don't think anyone ever opposes that.